start writing?
Sixth grade.
What? How about you, Caitlyn?
This is Caitlyn. Lindsey.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to do sound tests so I figure out which voice is which here.
Lindsey also started writing in the sixth grade because she wanted to be cool like her twin sister.
So you remember the first things you started writing?
Yes. Oh, good Lord, they will never, ever, ever be revived. They are so horrible.
Well, why?
Because they were from sixth grade.
Right.
And it was our first attempt at writing ever. Well, not Caitlyn's first attempt. She wrote when she was like 5.
Mm-hmm.
No. Well, that was. Yeah, I guess that is when I first started writing. Was when I was, what was that, in elementary school?
So do you
But then I
remember?
stopped.
Were there stories?
Yeah, really, really bad stories about kittens and the like.
Kittens and life?
And the like.
And
About life and death. It was all very brutal.
so are any of these hilarious stories kicking around?
No.
No,
Those were deleted. My sixth grade story has been edited and re-edited, and I'm currently in the process of trying to get it published. So.
Really?
Yeah.
As a short story?
No, it's a novel.
Oh, that's nice.
One of 4. I should be editing the second one, but...
So as a blurb on the cover, you could just say, it was written by a 5-year-old, and it would become like a bestseller or something. Because technically it would be true.
Well, I didn't write it when I was 5. I was in the 6th grade. The ones that I wrote when I was 5 shall never, ever be revealed. They were all destroyed, I believe. I think, anyway. We hope. Mm-hmm. So
do you find that there's something, there's a common thread that through your entire, quote-unquote body of work, since you were a kid to now, you feel there's some themes that or just completely changed?
Well, I don't know about from 6th grade on. It's been sort of similar. Simply because it's been the same book that I've been working on, but no real similarities.
No?
I would say you're more similar than you think. Maybe. You tend to write fantasy. Generally about female characters more often than not. Although it would be a huge stretch to say you only write about heroines. I like to work with both.
So what is it? Do you write about female characters because you are female, or is just...
It's just that... I think it's just for the way it happens that way, in my opinion, as an outside source. Yeah, and then also there's the whole, I'm not a guy, obviously, so... I have, in my main book, it centers around a girl, but there's also a very large character who is a guy. But I'm not a guy, so if I had a main character, it'd be very hard to get in their head and portray them correctly, and I wouldn't want to depend on stereotypes or have even more revisions than I already do because I portrayed them wrongly, and I like both, but for being able to get that deep into a character, if it's a main character for a long body of work, it's easier for it to be a girl. For short stories, it usually doesn't matter. I'll just pick whoever I feel like.
Yeah, it's intensely fascinating to me because I've never written stories. I've had ideas for stories, but would never be able to create characters for them. I was able to create worlds in which characters could live in, but could never bring characters to life. So when you talk to me about this, this is intensely fascinating to me. The skill of being able to understand how a character would, talk or dress, that to me, it's like magic to me.
Well, awesome. That's the way it is for me. That's one of the reasons I want to be published is because I want to share these crazy people. Yeah, the other.
So when you come up with the characters, do you just take an amalgam of different traits that you've observed in other people and yourself, or do you just it just pops in? What's the process of building a character from, like, basically from the ether?
More often than not, they surprise you.
Yeah. A bunch of times they just pop into your head. Usually they're spurred from some kind of inspiration, maybe
a song
or another person you see. They usually come from something that you don't necessarily notice at first. You might have a character, you see someone walking around in a top hat, and you think, I like top hats. And then all of a sudden you have an entire character who wears a top hat, and because of that top hat, he has this sort of personality, and suddenly he has these quirks and these types of way he speaks, and
then based on the characters, the rest of the characters in the story or the plot line, and they more often than not do something completely unrelated, and you're like, where the crap did that come from? And it's brilliant.
Or at least you think so.
That brings me to another question I wanted to ask you. When you create a character or come up with an idea for a story, what is the tipping point for you when you just know this? Yes, this is a good one.
I don't think anyone would ever say that 90% of their characters are ever good.
Well, I mean, throwing aside the whole, I'm a good writer, I'm a bad writer, I think the whole, this is a good character in that it absorbs my attention. And I want to know more about them. Like, I don't know. I've written short stories where I wasn't all that interested, and they have never come to any completion. So those are the stories and the characters that I was just playing around, experimenting with things. Not a very good character. No development.
I suppose you can say it's a good character if the character can confuse and, like I said before, surprise the person writing, like the writer who is creating them. Because if you know exactly what your character is going to do from day to day, then that makes them a cliche for you. And if it's cliche for you, it becomes cliche for the readers.
Yeah.
Well, I think we did a little podcast about character.
Yeah. Setting and writing and cool.
How cool is that?
Pretty cool.
You girls are awesome.
Well, thank you.